Hey, what's up YouTube? I'm back again to talk about Proposition 32. This is my favorite proposition of the whole election because it's the actual one that I want to do something and get the word out because my opinion is the minority opinion. What Proposition 32 would do, this is coming from Voter's Guide or voterguide.sos.ca.gov, prohibits unions from using payroll-deducted funds for political purposes. And it would apply the same use prohibition to payroll deductions, if any, by corporations or government contractors. It prohibits unions and corporate contributors to candidates and their communities. Prohibits government contractor contributions to elected officials or their committees. Fiscal impact. Increased costs to state and local government, potentially exceeding $1 million annually, to implement and enforce the measure's requirements. So what does this mean? Okay, this is what we have in place now in California and in other states. A union deducts fees from an individual that works in the particular trade that the union supports them on. Part of those union dues can go to whatever the union leadership feels is important for extending either that union's power or the rights of the individuals that work for that union. I'm not going to make a discussion either way about any of that. But I will make a discussion for the individual that the dues are coming from. Currently, the union can take those monies that they want, the leadership, and they can funnel it into any particular political campaign that they want, even though that leadership does not pull or discuss with the workers, the individual people, what their political feelings are regarding that candidate. So it's almost as though they're forced, via the support that they believe the union is giving them, to pay into the pockets of candidates that politically, or for some, more importantly, values-minded, that they may not agree with. A yes vote in 32 would require that unions and corporations could not use money deducted from an employee's paycheck for political purposes. Unions, corporations, and government contractors would be subject to additional campaign finance restrictions. Meaning, again, you can't take a due for a service of protecting a job or protecting fair labor, fair work for whatever, and then put it towards a candidate that promises this, that, and the other. A no vote on this measure is that basically nothing would happen. There would be no change to the existing laws regulating the ability of unions, corporations, and the use of the money deducted from an employee's paycheck for political purposes. Okay, so there have been a lot of arguments for, I just made one, and a lot of arguments against, and I'll take what's just boilerplate off of the website. Prop 32 cuts the money ties between special interests and politicians to the full extent constitutionally allowed. Bans contributions from corporations and unions to politicians. Prohibits contributions from government contractors and stops payroll withholding for politics, making all contributions voluntary. No loopholes, no exemptions. The con view would be Prop 32 isn't reform, it exempts business super PACs. I got it. I'm a pro. You got me on pro on this, but I got to make a point that a super PAC is a political action committee that is based off of voluntarily provided funds. It does not take money from me to go to a PAC that I don't agree with. And thousands of big businesses from its provisions, at the same time applying restrictions on working people and their unions. It's applying the restriction to the union. The working people still has to pay the dues, still has to do what they would do. If anything, their dues might go down. It's unfair, unbalanced, and won't take money out of politics. The League of Women Voters urges a vote of no. Okay, so I am totally for 32. I think that the unions, the teachers' unions, the firefighters' unions, what are some of the other unions? And I think healthcare have been manipulating, maybe not on the mass level that I like to believe, politics in California for a long time. This would slow some of that down. It's not going to stop it. It's not really going to change. Well, no, I think it will change a lot, actually. I think it will make it more voluntary and more about what the individuals want and less what the unions want to push. Hopefully, in the areas of education, that will mean that children are more important and the healthcare is more important. And I think firefighters do a pretty good job. But with that said, pensions, the protection of firefighters' pensions, they get a better deal than most of us do when it comes to pensions, particularly in a public sector, including police officers, right? we need to look at that. Even though it's sad to say that they may not be able to keep those pension rights, but we need to look at that in terms of keeping the state afloat. So for that purpose, I vote no. Leia, do you have anything you want to add?
As you're voting yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm voting yes.
Actually, I think most Californians are in the position where they, you know, when you hear proposition, you think that that's going to be an additional expense to the state.
And it is in this case.
Another.
It
right.
is in this case an oversight of 1 million or more that they've adjusted, and maybe it might even be 2, 3, 4 million, for example. Leia brought up an interesting number earlier. What is the opposition? What is the opposition funding right now for Proposition 32?
13 million more than the
pro vote. So those that are against Proposition 32, which would be the unions, have put up $13 million more in snuffing it out than allowing it to pass. So if the oversight is $1 million and the union has $13 million just to throw around in trying to snuff out something that may potentially hurt them, isn't even affecting them then, and they have that much money to throw out. Obviously they have a lot more money in their pockets that they have to use politically right. and for candidates. So.
And before reading about Prop 32, my answer to what are you voting on the propositions was no to everything.
Yeah.
But really the answer should be no to everything except for 32.
Yep. I think I agree. All right, guys, take it easy. We're coming back with more.